Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, but there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Jose, Mark, Sleeping Warrior, The Plain Truth, Isaiah, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
What I was
Hello.
as far as
Godzilla
on the moon goes is that if you watch the footage of the first one, they're kicking up dust at about the 30-foot mark, to give or take, because they stopped filming outside the 20-foot mark. Now, whether or not they kicked up dust around the landing site, which was pristine and there's nothing there, which is fine, you know. But what I'm saying is, if your coffee table was dusty and you blew a spot where you kicked up some dust, when you get out, you would see the spot where you kicked up some dust. You guys follow me? Because I can't explain this one to the Globe boys.
You're asking a panel of predominantly flat earthers if we can explain the complete nonsense staged affair that was the moon landings.
No,
Is that your question?
Explain that, because clearly, I mean, it is staged, but what I'm saying is that there would be a line that would of kicking up dust that you would have seen. Something that said you kicked up a shitload of dust, like on a coffee table that's dusty, and you just blow in one spot. You would have seen the same thing on the moon. But with the Globe boys, I can't seem to explain that you would have seen that. After you got out of the spaceship, you would have said, there's the spot where we kicked up the dust. Before we turned the rocket engines down to, 2% for landing purposes. Otherwise, you'll kick up more dust. And I'm really surprised they didn't use any parachutes in landing on the moon like they did with Mars. Other than that, I'll just...
It's science, bro. I'm mad.
Yeah. They didn't need to, because the gravity was much less, according to them, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We've got far more pressing issues. So, I mean, are there any actual signs of curvature out there, as opposed to moon landing fakery, which is easy to spot? Any signs of curvature? My ham-handed way of getting into a bit of housekeeping.
Nope.
No.
Best of dust on the
Indeed.
Negative.
Any signs of axial rotation? Earth-based, specifically?
Iron core,
No.
one, rotating, magnetic field, blah, blah, blah.
Thanks, Snow Globe. Couldn't do without you. No? No signs of axial rotation?
No sign.
Nope.
What about pressurized system next to a vacuum? Has anybody had that demonstrated?
No pressure for a container.
That's because you're in the Goldilocks zone. With gravity sucking shit back.
If that's the case, then my porter's just way too hot.
Remember?
Goldilocks zone, that sounds like a fairy tale region.
You know, that's a good way to put it.
Fairy tale region, eh? Any proof of pressurized system next to a vacuum, though?
No.
Well, that's because, see, again, no, again, your body, which is a finely tuned instrument, which would have felt something sucking the air to this planet, doesn't feel a goddamn thing, because it has to do with proving the Earth is a ball.
Indeed.
or flat.
According to FE Viking, Ben Miller has found curvature. Any signs of Ben Miller?
No, I'm implore somebody to open a Go Find Me account to find Bill Miller. Thank you.
Well, maybe we should make a missing poster or something.
Missing. Signs of a self-perpetuating molten iron core. Anybody seen that? That poster?
Mark Taylor. I mean, nobody. No proof.
Never seen it, and it's completely irrelevant.
No? No
Even
evidence
if
of
it
a
was there, it's not
self-perpetuating
gonna
molten iron
cause
core?
magnetic fields. So
Sorry, I missed that, Arwin. Was that evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed radius-based Earth?
no, I said haven't seen it, have seen no proof of it, and even if it was there, it's completely irrelevant because it's not gonna cause the magnetism on this Earth. So
You say this Earth, what about the actual presupposition itself? Any evidence of R? Anybody? Anybody at all?
well, I did kind of put sticks in the ground the other day. So
Yeah, you started by stuttering, so I don't believe you.
shit.
Yeah.
Got me.
The pirate movies are on Gilligan Island. That's it.
No? No signs of R? What about gravity?
No masses being attracted to other mass. No bending of space-time.
That's because it's not big enough.
Oh, it's a scale issue, is it? I've heard that before.
Yeah. That's,
Oh, my bad.
I hang out on Discord a lot, so I can tell you all the comebacks you're gonna get.
The Great Scale Negator.
Hollywood movies.
Oh, and if they ever decide to say that the shit we believe in is imaginary, the Great Attractor. I just thought of that.
How you doing, Chris? Can you hear us?
Yep. Good morning.
Good to have you.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Well, that was it. That concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much. Very cordial, much more civil than usual, considering the number of people here.
That didn't take as long as this time.
So I put in the chat again the two pictures that I took, one from yesterday and one from this morning, and you'll notice that it's about 3 hours difference, but they're the same line. So within 24 hours, the termination line has not moved to where it was yesterday at this time. It's actually in the position that was at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Huh. Are you saying that the moon is spinning at a...
Can someone present it?
That's fascinating.
So remember this morning I was stammering a bit when I was looking at the moon because I was trying to say something about its termination line and I couldn't figure out what it was, and that's what it was. It was at the same position that it should have been 3 hours earlier. You see it?
Nope.
I'm waiting for someone to put it up on screen, hoping somebody will. Anybody on the case?
So I'll put in the third picture. The picture that I'm going to put in now is yesterday's photo at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's in the Hangout chat. 2 photos, right after the.
Where?
In the Hangout chat.
I don't see it.
Sigh, heavy sigh.
If you dump it in Skype, I'll present it from there.
All right, I'll try to do it in Skype.
Da, 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 da.
All right, I'm going to do it to your account in Skype, Arwen.
All right.
Here it comes. All right, so it is... The first one is yesterday at this time. And
Right.
then this one is an hour ago.
All right. I'll present them.
And then this one is yesterday, 3 hours prior.
Okay,
you can
so
see the lines are the same.
So Arwen's got the one from 3 days ago first.
I can scroll them.
Cool.
So, right. Okay. So this one, when was this one? This was yesterday?
That one was yesterday at this time, so it looks to be about 2 to 8 o'clock, right?
All right.
And then
This?
that one is right now, an hour ago. So it should have been closer to the 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock line. And then if you go to the dark background, that was at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that line is similar to what was there an hour ago. Even right now, I could take another picture right now, and it's the same.
Sure, it looks almost the same.
Right. So yeah, I'm noticing a distinct difference with this one because the shadow seems to have moved, and it's now like going over that circle type thing. It's past it.
And you're saying that every 24
See here,
hours,
here
it
it's
should be in
just
the
hitting
same
that
spot,
circle,
right?
and here it's past it. Let's cut it off. Anyway, doesn't explain the angle. That's really weird.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if them spraying the hell out of the sky somehow messes with the magnetic poles. It messes with the way the sun and the moon spin around.
I sincerely doubt it.
Well,
but yeah, how would we know? We don't even know what causes them.
that's the whole thing. In the end, it's all supposition and speculation until somebody goes, "Look, I was there. For real, I was there."
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing a Freemason ring. That's important that we send someone there doesn't wear that ring.
Well, that isn't
So it's
male
almost
or white.
It's almost as if
Go on, Travis.
so it's almost as if the rotation of the wheel that we would call the moon has slowed down. You know, it should be later on. You know, within an hour or two, it should be, so to speak, at 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock because it's rotating as it moves through the sky. And right now it's about noon. If it was the sun right now, it would be noon. The moon
I agree. It's really weird. So there may have been some kind of change there.
Yeah, but within 24 hours, that's pretty significant.
No, but I'm saying it might have like phased into this new system. And for how long? I don't know. Because I don't think it was like this. I don't think it has been like this always. I thought it was pretty synchronized with the position of the sun before. And it's simply the path that the moon goes that is at a different speed as the path the sun goes. But now also this rotation of the shadow and everything, that seems to also have slowed down, I guess? Or sped
Right.
up? Which one is it?
I would say slow down.
Right. So just like the moon is moving slower than the sun in its angular cycle, so has the rotation of the moon surface, let's just call it, the moon image, its inherent axial rotation has also now slowed down. That's very odd and interesting.
And then you would ask the question as to what the significance of that would be if it had a phenomenon, if it had a physical effect on the Earth. You know, what is it that you're looking for that changes on the Earth that you could then link to the variable of the slowing of the termination line, so that you could say they're correlated. You know, it's so delicate, it's so precise that you'd have to know everything about what you're observing everywhere to be able to link those two issues.
Well, the only thing we have to do to figure that out is find out what causes them. That's all. So who knows?
Yeah, the only thing, right?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Right.
But yeah, it is mysterious. I don't think it has a direct influence, basically, on life, because I do know that moon cycles, like it being full and it not being full, does have an effect on life. and on growth cycles. This is even in traditional farming lore that has been adopted, that you adapt to the cycles, because plants will respond differently during the cycles, and some animals as well. So that has an influence. I don't think that the rotation cycle of the moon's surface has a direct influence, although maybe it does. I've never heard of it before, but who knows? But Jack,
Anything is possible.
nice observation. It's really interesting that you've noticed this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen where they landed on the moon from your camera?
No, you can't. Stuff's too small. Even if you had Hubble pointing at the telescope, you still couldn't see it.
Mm.
According to them.
Yeah, with a
I've
cheesy
seen it on TV.
with a cheesy camera, you've got pretty much the whole puppy up on screening.
No swearing, please.
So, Nathan, what's your thought then on the clarity of the moon versus the stars? In terms of, because I've never looked at the stars through the telescope, so I can't compare it.
The moon is made out of cheese.
It's much bigger, isn't it? So you're gonna get more.
Okay.
It's just easier to look at for a start. But I'm no expert, far from it. So I'm definitely not the right person to ask things about this topic. Far from it.
Well, what about just describing for a moment Venus or a planet that you've looked at? Because that's the one thing that I've noticed looking through the P900. The wandering stars are more definitively circular. The stars themselves in the zodiac are, from the P900's perspective, blurry, watery, wavy, and less defined in that sense.
They're like spots,
Right?
like needles of light.
Like
Speaking of the moon, I had a question real fast.
Well,
Question is, the sliver of the moon, if the moon is not self-illuminating, why is it that the side that's lit is conveniently always facing the sun?
One of the things that I've thought of as I've wondered about that is if you think about magnetism, if you've got a magnet and you've got iron filings, the iron filings you can manipulate by moving the magnet, and they're gonna gravitate, so to speak, toward the source. So if you've got a fluorescence that is dependent upon the sun, then the light is going to orient toward the source. And just like if you've got a fluorescent light that is going out on one end, it's dark, and if you let it go and it continues to die, the termination line on the fluorescent bulb gradually grows and grows until the fluorescence dies out.
Right. And that's why I think that they are definitely not objects out there. It's just an image. As part of some kind of light that is coming from that direction. And yeah, at its epicenter, from where it's coming from, this is what we get to see.
How about until we come close with something to take a look at it for real, we won't know.
I don't think you can get close. I think they're inapproachable. They just move with you.
No.
But hey, if you can approach it, good luck.
Well, I think that the reverse engineered alien tech that they got at Lockheed, that shit has gone out of the firmament in the hole that's in Antarctica. I think they went with the stuff that way. But again, it's speculation because they're not going to talk about it, are they?
vast speculation. The alien tech is speculation because I don't think there is any alien tech. I think it's just ancient tech that's being kept from us, and they just use it for their weird little experiments, and they're fooling around with us.
So you think? Well, no. That could be possible because then it's just basically their own spacecraft messing up in flight, and they're giving it like cool buzzwords like Roswell. Then God only knows what else you can think of.
Well, if something's gonna happen for real, like an accident, nobody's ever gonna know about it. Some guy will say, "Oh yeah, I saw something," and nobody's gonna care. It's gonna get media coverage. Then they are doing something on purpose. They're trying to plant an idea, and I think that's what Roswell was all about. Was planting the idea. Oh, aliens, aliens in craft. Oh, was an alien found in there? And oh, look, the government is covering it up, despite them actually letting the media go with it. So
No, you have a point there because they have been researching this crap. Because the Nazi
exactly. The Nazis had like hovering magnetic based technology. Oh, controls. Yeah, they used it, and like even Martin Liedtke had a pretty indirect but a lot of evidence that even in the early industrial age, Tesla technology was widely being applied on an industrial scale. And yeah, then we have the pyramids of even earlier ages that are now, it's now coming out that they are basically specifically designed to focus magnetic energy.
We
So
didn't
it's a
build the
highly
pyramids.
advanced
No,
architectural technology,
we
just
didn't build the.
architectural technology. And yeah, if the ancient had that kind of stuff, went to that level, then
Go ahead
who's
and head
to
out,
say?
guys. Gotta go to work. Nathan, Arwen,
All right, talk to you later.
Jose, see you more.
Hi.
Shalom.
Yeah, shalom.
So yeah, if they had these incredible levels of technology, that means that, well, if it was there, then people like us, but from that age, would be working on it, would be figuring things out, and the entire society would have bloomed up greatly with all the very far advanced technologies that were being discovered at the time at a rapid pace with the many people that were around and spreading this knowledge.
Ah,
And then some kind of disaster happens, and in this case, in the industrial age, it was the mud flood. And during the pyramid age, it was apparently the great flood. Big
yeah.
mud flood.
I don't believe there were disasters like that or cataclysms. I.
Well, I do. There's very direct evidence, at least of the mud flood, and Martin Liedtke has exposed this with obscure photographs showing entire cities being half buried in mud and just being uncovered. Complete city.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to go in a little kind of side, different comment or opinion I got. So logical deduction, I hear this a lot on the globe believers argument. They say because of logical deduction of logical. Now, what the difference is when we say water is level, so it's flat, period. Because if it's a different contour in the bottom of the ocean, that contour doesn't follow the water doesn't follow the contour of the ocean in the top. It's level in the top, it's flat, period. Now, when they see obstruction, they say it's curvature. That's okay. That's a logical deduction for them, right? To say any obstruction is curved over the ocean or whatever. But we cannot say the water level is flat. Why? Why logical deduction for them? Then another one is when you guys put observations 15, 20 miles away and we see a building, it's because logically deducting it is there a line of sight. Now for them it's not. It's that looming, refraction, hovering,
Yeah.
hologram bullshit. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that deduction is a part of logic and reason and figuring things out. And it's even a critical part of engineering function. It's basically deducing, okay, this effect is there. It works like this in this scenario. It works like that in that scenario. We can draw conclusions from this. Let's test it out. So deduction is a critical part of logic and figuring things out. Problem with the globe is they also do that, but they get the presuppositions involved that they don't have proof for. And when you do that, that is when you get into the territory of scientism. So I do deductions myself, even involving the downward acceleration force. And I fully admitted that, yeah, according to the scientific method standards, I can't prove it because I can't turn it off. But I can very much logically deduce that it's there by other forces applying and all that. Let's not go into details. But I don't use a presupposition. That's the difference. So, yeah, deduction, it's a very critical part of just logic and figuring things out. If you can't deduce anything, then yeah, what do you got? Nothing. Then you can't draw any conclusions from anything.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway.
Did
Yeah, we're
anybody
halfway.
just hear an American Express commercial?
What?
Something. I just opened up a page and I got an American Express commercial, and I can't figure out where I heard it or where it's coming out of. Sorry.
Has Arwen completely killed the conversation?
I think so.
Oh well. Such is life.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah, and
is-
I'm kind of hungry, so I was actually hoping that Riley would be there or something, so he could like keep an eye on the back panel because I really want to get lunch. Freaking hungry, and when I'm hungry, I'm not really focusing all that well.
I see. I don't know where Riley is. He hasn't said much since he's been here. He sent me a message on Skype saying he was just finishing off his tea. We shall see. Maybe he's around.
So I see Rohit made a video regarding ESA's 600 nautical miles. I think he got poked by that subject and he got angry. He wasn't able to participate when the subject was hot. I think he made a kind of a video explaining what nautical miles was to ESA. So he's hurt by that, I guess.
I've not seen it. Was it a good explanation?
It wasn't okay. I mean, it was a logical explanation, but I don't know. I don't see any weight to either way. I don't see that as a solid proof because it's still that confusion about the area or square miles and all that BS. And I think Rohit did it by land. He said, in comparison, if we do 600 nautical miles over water, blah, 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 and then if we do it by land, the surveyor can measure this and that. I cannot explain the details, but I mean, it's pretty well explained. Rohit is very articulate in explanations. So.
Until you ask him for scientific proof, that is.
Oh, there's lots of scientific proof. It's when you ask for the math to add up.
Right.
There's the problem.
I see it the opposite way. I see there's a lot of math to explain things, but not really any scientific proof. That's the way I see it.
Yep. A lot of storytellers out there telling that great story of scientism. The body of science it's a giant storytelling tradition in a common system, a common fairy tale world. Very much like, for example, the ethos of a game world or a movie world. Like, okay, the world works like this. These are the important characters. This is the direction things are going. This is the technology that's there. These are the power people, the ones that are ruling. That's the setting. So you got a story, you got a narrative, and other people can work on that, like make continuing game stories based on that, or more movies based on that. And yeah, the globe and the heliocentric system is the same thing, except they are actually portraying it like it is reality. That's the difference. It's a giant storytelling tradition with lots of math and lots of nonsensical explanations of how technobabble explanations of how things are supposed to be working. And that they're trusting on people just being too stupid, too dumbed down, not having learned to critically think about things, to just let it go and not actually look into what they are explaining. Because then everybody would figure out it's just all nonsense. It's just a bunch of stories. A lot of stories.
Very carefully organized stories that they don't intersect.
Yeah.
By the way, because
Like a scripture.
Coriolis, but when you jump up and down in one spot, you seem to land in the same spot. You know that? That's a problem. Anybody looking at the jet fuel hoax for the fun of it?
I'm not interested in the jet fuel hoax. If it comes to something, then great. But, you know, in the big scheme of things, who cares?
All right.
Fuel hoax.
Same with the water hoax. I mean the H2O, whatever hydrogen. I leave that to conspiracy cats and chips and nips and Peter and Pete and dumb people. They're all right with that. They can deal with it.
That thing is just really dumb. I think that there is some great validity to the jet fuel hoax. It's just like, yeah, it's more like hidden technology that is being used in plain sight, pun intended. That's probably a joke that they like too, that they're hitting it in plain sight.
Oh God, they love that joke.
But yeah, I'm not surprised, and I've heard other people. Yeah, been hearing from the various sources through the internet, by the way, so not in person here. That yeah, uh, jet technology or airplane motor technology has moved on, and it's become really advanced, and it just doesn't need that much fuel or almost nothing at all. But yeah, they still want to rake in the profit. They don't want to lose their profit, so they just pretend like they're spending all this fuel while saving it. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have even, yeah, they wouldn't even have done it. If they had been forced to basically admit it, they would just probably just smother it and kill it before it floated to the surface of the public conscious. Because they want that profit. And if it's going to be just too cheap, then yeah, that's not going to work out for them. They're not going to be making any profit. People are going to get really cheap flights, and yeah, that's going to be lovely for them, but they're not going to get their money, and that's what it's all about for them. Control, money, more, and more.
You know what control and money always want?
More control and more money.
More control and more money. There you go. There you go.
Yep. Well, on the other hand, at least they're not burning up as much fuel. I guess that's a good thing.
I don't think it makes any
for
difference.
Whatever it's worth.
Do you remember that Monty Burns? He walks into his like vault with Smithers, and it's all gold and jewellery and jewels all stacked up in a massive pile. And Mr. Burns says to Smithers, he says, "Ah, Smithers, I'd trade it all for just a little bit more."
Yep.
Did you get what the pun was though? It wasn't money. It was the fact that he was willing to sell his soul for a little more knowledge. That's it's actually a satanic saying.
Or it could just be, yeah, I just want more. But no, I think that's it. It's basically like, oh yeah, he's actually having regret. He's showing signs of a soul. No, it was actually a joke. Just to say, no, I just want more. It's a very clever joke, I think.
All right. No, it's a satanic saying. I'll trade it all for a little bit more.
Go on then, explain the satanic reference.
It's a satanic saying, pretty much straight out of their Bible. I think it's Pike himself who says that. One of Pike's.
I don't think Pike is in the Satanic Bible.
He wrote the red one. I forget. I think it's the red one that he wrote. There's three. There's the green one, the red one, and the black one. And I think that Pike, for his work, life's work, or whatever, however they call it, wrote the red book, and they're crediting it to him. Like, all the horse shit that Pike says is honest engine the way Lucifer wanted it, pretty much.
Oh, in the end, Satanism is all about materialism, and which is just more the one
Under
who
the
has the
guise of
most
truth.
things wins. That's the
No,
base concept.
under the guise of truth.
No, truth is either a convenience or an inconvenience. They don't care. They just care about power. It's all about power. It's all about material wealth and control. And the truth is very subjective. Satan, after all, is the great liar. That is what defines him.
Well, yeah, as I tell a lot of Satanists, and I run across a few, uh, is that on the first page of all three of their Bibles, it says, you're going to scream in terror for eternity. Eternal screams of terror, the as their book will put it. And anytime you scream in terror, you're not enjoying yourself. So how does that manifest into the rest of it? Is fine dandy and you're going to have the best time in the world after you go to hell? How that translates into screaming terror for eternity? I don't know. I have a hard time with that. Satanists will usually shut up at that spot and walk away, believe it or not.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that what they do is they basically say that it's not really true. They just replace the story. So they're
Oh,
just going to ignore this detail and just
no, they
supplant
can't.
it with their own interpretation.
They can't because eternal
Yes.
Of course,
screams of
it doesn't work, but that's what they do. That's what they do in their mind. They just make believe like, no, it's not like that. It's
Got
going to be
Satan in the
different. I'm
chat
gonna...
says, I have the right to be here. Shout out to Satan.
No, you know what's really funny? If you ever try my comeback, they literally just zippity doo dah and walk away. Like they have absolutely no comeback to on the first page of your satanic Bible, all three of your satanic Bibles, it states the only comeback they have is, have you seen the Bible yourself? Have you seen this to be true with your own God given eyes? Have you seen these words on the first page yourself? Or are you going to believe some Yahoo on the internet who says he saw it? That's the only comeback they may have. They don't with me because I have seen it. But basically, you just tell them in your own Bible on page 1, it states, you're going to scream in terror for eternity. Eternal screams of terror. Every movie, if you've ever noticed, part of their satanic thing, like Thor, uh, in the last one, screams for a few seconds, which is their attempt going, since it's a gravy train of souls coming down the pike and everybody screams for 5 seconds, that's your eternal scream of terror, which is what they're trying to play it into. It's not at all, because Satan also wants his noise to be louder and louder, so everybody screams in terror. For all you Satanists listening in,
Have you considered air horns?
Satan doesn't like air horns. He believes you're just going to scream in terror like a fucking air horn.
I mean, I think there's a marketing opportunity there. Satan's in the chat. Have you considered air horns? I mean, I suppose they don't last eternity. That's the main problem, isn't
How
it? They
about
run out of gas.
fufuselas?
Yeah, they don't last very long. Maybe that's the problem. I'll scratch that.
Uh,
I won't
I'm
pitch it.
telling you, they will never want to argue this particular statement. This is the only one that really cuts to the chase, and they walk away with all of their truth and only truth, and that they worship the one true God, and Satan is a nice guy, and God, our creator, is an asshole and a douchebag. They have one good point, the only one good point that Satanists have in all of all the stuff that I've ever heard is, why would your creator stuff the most evil thing into the Garden of Eden when you're like fresh off the presses, brand new on the planet, haven't seen anything, welcome to life, and along the way, here's the most evil thing on the planet, ready to fuck you up. Why would your
No
creator
swearing.
do that?
For purpose. To create purpose.
To create.
Yeah, I get it. It's
You
purpose.
do? Could you explain? Because I have a hard time with that.
Well, if everything is perfect, then it doesn't mean anything.
So
very simple. It
you
is.
need.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Can you hear
People
us?
that go through hardship
Hold on one
actually
second, Arwen.
learn to appreciate
Hold on,
life.
Arwen.
Hello.
Hello.
I
Good to have you.
All right. All right.
So again, people that go through hardship, they actually learn to appreciate life, or they close themselves up, and yeah, you can go like into depression or whatever. But yeah, that's either way. But if you haven't had any challenges in your life, you haven't been confronted with anything bad, if everything's just perfectly smooth and nothing bad ever happens, you're going to be a wussy. It's very simple.
Oh,
Prosperity creates monsters, and hardship creates tough individuals.
oh, okay.
So it's experience, it is purpose. If God hadn't done that, then everything would have been exactly like that was forever, and nothing would have happened. There would be no humanity, there would be no tragedy, there would be no world history, there would be no mystery,
Yeah, but
there
everybody
would be no change.
people would be freaking happy their entire life. Wouldn't that be
No,
great?
no, they wouldn't.
You don't think so?
No, because they wouldn't know what happiness was, because they had
Oh,
nothing to
because
contrast it against.
I see. So you need sadness to feel happy.
Without suffering, you will not know happiness.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. What happens if there's no suffering? Would you be, maybe you wouldn't be as happy would
Or
be?
you would become restless. That's what happens to people that go through without hardship. They become restless. They tend to become arrogant. They become full of themselves. All these type of other negative aspects.
Docile.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. It's all about purpose.
Okay.
Well, and what about the idea that, and Arwen, this goes along with what you're saying, basically purpose, or, I mean, I don't think you mentioned free will, right? If you have free will, or if you're only ever doing the good thing or the right thing, and there's no evil introduced, then how would God, let's say this is all true, right? And I don't know if it is, but how would God know who's good and who's bad? So to introduce evil means to allow people to be evil, right? Despite there being, both sides of it, right? The yin and the yang. There's good and there's evil. Well, you can be good or you can be evil. It's up to you. Knowing what you know about Earth and about religions and about people and humanity. To Arwen's point, if you only had good, you wouldn't know who is bad. So that's my thought on it, at least.
Yep.
I don't know.
Without evil, there is no choice. And isn't it the greatest honor that we know really deep inside, that when something bad happens, when like a group of people get really evil or try to take over, then you feel this calling from the inside, like, no, I don't want this. I want to defend the good. Well, if there was no evil, you would never experience that. There
Ah,
would be no calling.
I got news for you. If if
So
if
you can,
if you could
whatever happens
possibly
with it, you
refer
can get
that,
used to it, you can get numbed by it, but
uh,
without evil, there is no calling from the
all
good
right,
to rectify things.
okay, that's one
Would you
way.
say good and evil is subjective? Now, when we have
No.
psychotic people that grow up in these, heavily psychotic influenced, households, I guess you would say, they might not see it as evil, even though we do, because to us it's clearly evil, pedophilia and things like that, whatever else. Now, do you think that there's a possibility that those people don't even see it as evil because of their
Yeah.
upbringing?
It's called psychopathy.
Good
Their
point. Yeah.
senses have been erased. They don't have these feelings, they don't have sympathy, they don't give it recognition because that part of their soul is missing. It's
Ah,
very simple. Doesn't mean it's not evil. They just can't see it. They're blinded to it.
blinded by the light.
Well,
So we could
blinded by a
agree.
lack of sensibility, basically.
We could agree there's I guess you would say a constant good and evil, as in it's an obvious good and evil, just to those who can perceive it the right way, I guess.
Well, it's very recognizable. It's
Yes.
instinct.
Well, it's a good question. Now, what happens to those people who call it it's out of their control? If you're raised in that situation and you grow up in foster care, you're being raped, you're molested, and you grow up and do the same thing, right? Or it turns you into, you have PTSD, and it turns you into a monster. Did you ever really have free will to make those decisions? Was it your path all along, right? Those are questions that I've had
No,
for many years.
I get that. I get that. Things can get extreme. But the thing is, anyone that has been through anything, whoever they were before that, they can get over it. It's just sometimes the challenge to recover from all these things is so big that people just don't take it. It's too hard. They don't feel, yeah, they don't get enough support. They don't allow themselves to heal from the wound.
Yeah, I agree.
So they become the wound. That's literally what it is. But anyone can heal from whatever they experience.
Hmm.
True, but it takes a lot.
It does.
It takes a lot to
it becomes
heal.
a
It's
life
not easy.
challenge. It becomes a life challenge to get over these things, especially like by being raped as a kid. It is a life's challenge. And I've known like girls that were raped really young.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this show. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!